You know, we've tried to avoid it as a conversation starter, but it was really only a matter of time before COVID came to the World Junior Hockey Championship Tournament. And here with a live report on the ground in Alberta is TSN Bar Down digital content creator Corwin McCallum. Corwin, thanks very much for joining us. Really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
So look, while we still can, let's begin with game action and recap the Canada-Austria game last night. You know, they just exploited their excellence. 16-year-old phenom, Connor 2.0 Bedard, right? 4-goal performance. That's never happened before, right?
Never happened for a 16-year-old, no. So the last 16-year-old for Canada to score a hat trick was, get ready here, Dwayne Gretzky. But for a 4-goal game for a 16-year-old Canadian, never happened before. So it was pretty incredible to watch. I know, obviously, Austria is one of the weaker opponents, but still very impressive.
All right, let's set up Germany-Canada tonight at 7 on the TSN.
Yeah, I mean, Germany is that team that everybody kind of likes. I feel like they're a little plucky. They don't really have any NHL talent on their team. There's a lot of undrafted guys like Florian Ilias, and they're a team that people like, but I would imagine aren't going to be quite a match for Canada tonight. It is kind of one of those games that you want them to win, go into their game against Sweden on, or not Sweden, Finland on New Year's Eve night to try and stay undefeated, win their group, but still, it should be a fun game to watch. All
right, sooner or later, every conversation that you and I have, it comes back to COVID, right? So let's do it. The USA having to forfeit the game versus Switzerland over the 2 cases. So under IIHF rules, they officially gave the 1-0 win to the Swiss. How does the tournament, Corwin, go forward if more games are decided this way and they can't, you know, meet the official 8-team quorum? You know, are there plans B and C here?
From what I understand, it really comes down to they need those teams. So I know the big thing will be the USA's tests as they go into their game against Sweden today, which they're really basically, from what I understand from the other reports, is basically that they're waiting for a test to come through negative today at 4 p.m. They need 2 negative tests in a row.
Right.
And if they can get that, they can play against Sweden. Everything's fine, but obviously that's a big if. So right. We'll kind of see later today. It's really going to be close to game time whether they find out or not, and I guess we'll see.
Yeah, and if they can't, that means under the rules they would forfeit a second game. So they would be down 2 games, and then I mean, I guess the American Federation could pull the team and just leave the tournament. That ends the tournament right there because they don't have the quota of 8 teams, or they stay in Edmonton and just, stay as a team in name only, and the tournament can continue. It all seems, very questionable.
It's very unprecedented, and of course, I think there would be a pretty big asterisk beside whatever happened in this tournament if the reigning champions had to basically bow out. So in whether it's official or not, in terms of how the tournament would be viewed, I think it would be a very sad thing to have happen.
I just want to get one thing before I let you go, Corwin. What's it like as a journalist trying to cover this event, right? You've got, you can't press the flesh. You got to rely on digital and your phone for all your contacts. And then you've got the freezing cold. Not a lot of fun, I'm guessing.
Honestly, I love it. You never get to watch more hockey than you do here. It's just a game after game after game. I've done most of my work through my phone and the internet already, so I'm pretty used to that part. And then the cold, I don't mind it. Plus, I'm basically never outside. You go right from the hotel to the rink, back and forth, back and forth.
That's why Bar Down succeeds wherever Bar Down goes. Corwin McCallum, thanks very much. I really appreciate your time, and stay safe out there, okay?
Well, Christmas 2021 is now in the history books, and as you get set to take down the decorations and the trees, rather than tossing out that tree, you could just leave it in your backyard. Jensen Edwards is the National Media Relations Manager at the Nature Conservancy of Canada and joins us live now. Jensen, thank you so much for joining us this morning to talk about Christmas trees. So you're suggesting that people can just toss it in their backyard and it will handle itself. Why?
Yeah, it's a little bit easier than having to lug it to the curb or to the chipping location. If you do have a backyard, of course, you can leave it there. And we're encouraging people to do that because by leaving your Christmas tree out in nature, you're offering habitat at this, although I just saw the weather, not too chilly time of year right now, but maybe later on. You're offering a little bit of habitat during the cold months for birds that might be overwintering in your neighborhood. Of course, our backyards are natural spaces, whether we like it or not. So why not lean into it a little bit and offer those birds a little bit of warmth. A little bit of warmth right now.
Yeah, giving back to nature. They deserve a Christmas present too. But Jensen, can I ask you about Christmas trees? It seems like to a lot of people, perhaps, that seeing these live Christmas trees be cut down every year just to be decorated, it's a little cruel. Would it not be better for the environment if people just bought fake Christmas trees each year?
So that's really interesting, and a former colleague of mine actually did some back of the napkin math on that, and kind of figured out that you'd have to really stick with your fake Christmas tree for upwards of a couple decades for it to balance out in terms of which one is more eco-friendly. Because of course, when our Christmas trees are growing, they're offering habitat, they're pulling carbon out of the air. And when we cut them down, that's okay. So long as we do that in a sustainable way, of course. And then it's all about this recycling method, which is step 3 in making sure that it's a responsible process. So disposing of it properly in a correct location so that it can return back to nature and foster that cycle again. I think of a property in Alberta that the Nature Conservancy of Canada has. It used to be a tree farm. But the trees planted there are not natural to that area. So we've been cutting them down slowly and surely every year and giving them out by donation, just to demonstrate that our Christmas tree industry does not conflict with our principles.
Okay, that's good to hear. Thanks for clearing that up. And Jensen, for people wondering how long it takes for a tree to decompose if they do leave it in their backyards, what's the timeline on that as we move through the seasons?
Well, if you've got a Charlie Brown tree like me, mine's only about 2.5 feet tall, it might disappear pretty quickly. But if you've got a big 10-foot tall forest in your living room right now, it might take a little bit longer. So in addition to just tossing it in the backyard, what people can do to help it break down a little bit quicker is pare off some of the branches and lay those in the garden. Of course, what you can also do if you've got a big thick trunk is drill holes into the trunk, and that will encourage moisture to get in there, encourage bugs to get in there, and encourage air to get in there, which will help the decomposition process. So chances are by next fall, unless you've got a really big trunk, a lot of that will sort of be blending in with the dirt again.
Yeah, nature's smoothie. Sounds great. Jensen, let's talk quickly because Christmas trees, we did a story on it, I believe. They can also be fed to goats and other kind of farm animals, right?
Yeah, so I've heard a few different people talk this year about farms asking for tree donations to feed their animals, which is great. That's just another way to recycle your tree. I grew up taking it to the fire department that offered the wood chipping services, and then those wood chips were used on our local trails. So if that's in your neighborhood, you might be hiking on your Christmas tree come summertime.
Okay, Jensen Edwards with the Nature Conservancy of Canada. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Happy New Year to you. Take care.
So much more than just a cover band. Toronto's Dwayne Gretzky is an eclectic collective who've been crushing it for over a decade of great parties, high-energy live shows dedicated to playing the soundtrack of our lives and those tunes that are tattooed on our hearts and minds. And here with more on how they plan to ring in 2022 is Nick Rose and Tyler Kite from Dwayne Gretzky. Fellas, good morning and almost Happy New Year.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Good to see you. Let's start with you, Nick. Look, the show must go on, and it will, right? I want you to tell us first about your set as part of this City of Toronto New Year's Eve live stream that's coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, it's really exciting. The city of Toronto reached out, and from what I gather, they're kind of bouncing around to all different events that are happening in the city, and they wanted to tune in for a few songs for our live stream. So that's very exciting.
Awesome. Hey, Tyler, it's also the 10th anniversary of your New Year's Eve shows and second year of your national live stream there. Tell us about that, and where can fans tune into that fun?
Well, they can go to DwayneGretzkyBand.com and they can see the whole show live streamed on YouTube for free. And yeah, this is our 10th year ringing in New Year's Eve with this group of friends, and we hope that you join us from wherever you are.
Man, the time flies. Nick, look, New Year's Eve, this gig, it's also a benefit show, and the proceeds, I understand, are going to CAMH. Mental health, mental hygiene, as we call it around here, it's been exposed as what it's been called, kind of a shadow pandemic throughout this last couple of years. Why was it important for you guys, to give back to CAMH? And as a sort of sub question, how do you guys maintain, your balance between, head, heart, and gut in a business that, has a reputation for sometimes being a little shallow and unforgiving?
Yeah, certainly it can be very challenging. And like you said, I mean, for all of us, all our, during the pandemic, the past 2 years has been a real challenge on our collective mental health. And so certainly for those of us who are, for the people who are most at need, organizations like CAMH do such a wonderful job, and that's really the most important thing. And for us, we're just trying to do the best we can given the circumstances, and pressing on with this show was really important to us, and certainly helps our mental health.
Nice. Tyler, last time we chatted was late September 2019, right before COVID struck. You guys had just released your debut album after 10 years of sort of fulfilling your rock and roll duty and, paying your dues. When you're mining for material as a group, is there like a formula or a checklist that you follow? Because there's just so much out there.
Because we have such a big dynamic group, we can kind of canvas the group and see what gets us most excited. But for us, our process is Nick and I do a lot of that work, and we just really see what's the most exciting to listen to, what gets our heart beating the quickest. Chances are that's a song that other people are going to enjoy watching. So follow our gut.
Nick, live shows are your jam, right? It's your bread and butter. It's how you guys have always completed the creative circle. How hard has it been as an artist yourself, a performer, and a fan of, live music to live through this thing?
It's been very challenging. I think to a point that we don't really understand until we witness it. For instance, I think for many of us in the band, we went through several months without getting together and playing, and
wow.
And we thought to ourselves, oh shucks, I'm really feeling down. And there's so many reasons to feel down during this trying time, but it wasn't until we got together for the first time and made music together that I was kind of had a eureka moment where I was like, yes, this is the thing that I've missed the most. So it's been very difficult, but the joy of coming together to play music is incredible, and we're just so excited for tomorrow night.
The music is the medicine, and you guys are the prescription for a New Year's Eve fun night, let me tell you. So Tyler, last thing, where can fans find you guys online for your show and the New Year's Eve gig?
Yeah, DwayneGretzkyBand.com, and then, if you just go into YouTube and type in Dwayne Gretzky, it's going to come up. It's free, and tune in. We're raising money for a good cause, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Everybody out there, I highly recommend it. You're going to be big fans. It's infectious. You tune in once, you'll never go back. Nick Rose and Tyler Kite from Dwayne Gretzky. Guys, thanks very much. Have a Happy New Year.
Well, teachers in the province are awaiting guidance from Queen's Park on the return to classes for the second half of the school year as the Omicron variant takes grip. Joining us now for a look is Karen Brown, president of the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario. Karen, thank you so much for joining us this morning on CP24 Breakfast to talk about this. So you represent the teacher side, elementary school teachers. What are they saying about the return to school? Do they want to go? Are they scared to go back?
Good morning, Jennifer. Our members are wanting to return to in-person learning, but we want to return to safe schools. And right now, once again, this Ford government has us waiting for the last moment to provide some information what's going to happen. Everyone knows in-person learning is best for students, for their mental health. It's all around important that we're back in schools. But our members want to ensure that when they're back to schools, where the environment is safe, where the school is safe. And that's going to require several key things for our members. And first of all is N95 mask. We've heard rumors that we're going to be getting some, but we haven't had any formal contact from the government, no formal notice about this. And will this happen by January 3rd? We doubt that. So that's one of the key safety mechanisms our members are going to need to feel safe in the schools. Enhanced masking. Right now they're in classrooms. There's no social distancing. They're in large classrooms. And I want to say that large classrooms are primary classrooms, 25 to 35 kids. Our intermediate and junior classrooms are bursting at the seams with 35 to over 40 kids. So that's going to be a key thing. Also, booster shots. Education workers should be prioritized right now. Getting those booster shots are going to be important. We want to see kids in school. We want to have educators in school. They need to be equipped and ready, and that's a key thing. And of course, HEPA filters. We need that ventilation, not just in classrooms, but all the spaces that encompass the schools for our kids to move about, for the educators to move around, to support them. That's another key thing we're going to need. They need to be working, they need to be functional, and that needs to take place before any sort of safe return to school. And last but not least, I mean, there's so many things, but I'm just highlighting some key ones. Antigen testing. That's going to be important. Testing needs to be available for our members and for students on an ongoing basis so this can continue. So those are some of the key things that we're looking for.
Yeah, Karen, those sound like some pretty reasonable and logical asks. I was under the impression from Education Minister Stephen Lecce that 70,000 HEPA air filters were already in every single classroom. But now you're saying that that's not the case? You want them in every other space where students are?
Well, they need to be working in the classroom, so that's one thing. We make sure they're working, they're on, they're functional. We've heard different things around that. I'm not sure if every school has them, but also we need now to expand. We know this Omicron variant is spreading very quickly, so it's not just the classroom. It's going to be the spaces where students are interacting and engaging in. So in the libraries, in the halls, in the science labs, in those other areas where students are moving, we need to add those added filters that are there. It's important. This government, what we've seen is that we need those investments. These investments should have been made at the beginning of the pandemic, and we need them now. They need to continue to be there. These are not new things we've asked for. Our members were being threatened to be disciplined earlier in the year because they were wanting to add added protection by wearing N95 masks. So we have been following the science very carefully, and the things we've been asking for our members have not been unreasonable. Our members want to return, but they want a safe return. We're all in agreement that in-person learning is best for students, but that can't happen in a school environment that's not prepared to keep them safe. So if we need a few more days, we need some more time to do that, let's work together. This is important.
Yeah, okay, Karen, so very quickly, we have to wrap soon, but I just want to get your perspective on this issue of absenteeism. We know that there have been labor shortages across the board because of this pandemic, now made worse by Omicron. Are you worried that there will be teacher or staff shortages in schools? And if so, should a test-to-stay plan be put in place?
I think what's needed are proper investments in the system so people will actually pick up those jobs. No one wants to go to an environment that's not safe. Occasional teachers who have no paid sick days, who have no benefits, putting themselves at risk in environments where they don't have the proper masking, are concerned about the filtration, are concerned about contact tracing. If they go in and there's a case, our occasional teacher members, many are telling me they're not even notified. So they're going home and spreading it to their families and their communities. So once the school environment is safe, we'll see a reduction of those things. Those are the outbreaks. Those are the, the consequences of not having schools safe. So a testing measurement is great, but you have to have an environment that allows people to want to stay. And the environment right now needs some work.
Okay, I hear you loud and clear. Thank you so much. Karen Brown, president of the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario. Thanks for joining us this morning to talk about this. Good luck and Happy New Year.